Standing up for freedom. In Ottawa, this was the biggest movement this country has seen. It was peaceful. Everything, CBC, ATV, told, mainstream media told the people, it was debunked. The people were the ones who were standing behind, and it was a peaceful demonstration. And actually, the crime rate in Ottawa while we were there went down 90%. This movement ain't over yet. This is bigger than the fight, than the freedom. This convoy, what this convoy has done, it brought the World Economic Forum and Klaus Schwab into everybody's household. Now the fight has to continue. We will not be suppressed with digital IDs. We will not be suppressed with 100% controlled environment where we can't move anymore. Decades and decades, this was in the making. I grew up in Switzerland. I moved here in '91. And I can tell you, since the 90s, I knew about this. That's why I joined the movement. I couldn't sit still anymore. And the fight has to go on. We are too dependent on logistics. We have to bring the small farmers back. Micro production. We can't rely on expensive logistics. I'm a trucker, yes. And I can tell you, I speak to you in first hand because we all know what we transport. To transport potatoes from New Brunswick to Winnipeg to bring them back as French fries. Yeah, right. We need to unify, stand up, and it starts in everybody's front step. We need to come together as communities. This movement grew from grassroots, and we will change from grassroots. Bear in mind, we never figured that this convoy will go around the world like it did. But it did. So the whole world is watching us right now. Every country depends on Canada today. We have to win. We are the second largest country in the world, and by population we are one of the richest countries in the world. There is no need that we have to be taxed to this, and I don't want to sound like a politician because I'm not a politician. I'm a guy who grew up and sees, like you are, what's right and wrong. And today, we're going to start a new beginning. It's not the Great Reset, it's the Great Awakening. To all the leaders in Nova Scotia, I like to say, come together, work together, arrange things together, because that's the way we done it before we went to Ottawa. That's why it was a success. Get in round tables in the communities. Talk about things, talk about your neighbors, show them what's going on. Today we need to be strong, stand together, and have a new beginning for decades to come, not for us, but for our children. We have Easter time. take the time, relax, reflect on history, and ask God and the spirits to give us the strength and the courage and the guidance to continue this fight. Last, we can't forget the heroes who fought for freedom abroad. Today we have to fight for freedom at home. And we cannot forget, in 3 days, it marks the anniversary of the biggest massacre this country has seen. 19th of April, 2022, the shooting ended. And we can't forget that either. These are the heroes. Anyway, you guys have a happy Easter. God bless. Thank you for coming. Great to see you all.
This is Jackie. She drove all the way from Ontario to be with you today. We were together side by side at the front lines of Ottawa. We became very good friends, and she's one of my favorite people in the world.
Hi everybody. I just want to say thank you so much for coming here today. Whether you agree with it and you stand there and you heckle us, there's going to be a day, mister, where you are going to love us because we did what we had to do. And we love you. Mwah! There you go. So Father, I just want to say, you know, when I first got into this, when I saw you people coming out underneath and standing over the overpasses in the snow, in the cold, for years I kept thinking, God, we got to do something. And then I got the call about this convoy. When we went in the convoy and I watched all of you stand outside in the cold with your children and everything else, it brought me to tears as I drove underneath those overpasses. So humbled and so privileged to be a part of all of this and what you were doing. My dad served in World War II. My dad enlisted when he was underage to fight for our country. My dad had nightmares of what he endured during that time. This is a war. Make no mistake about it. This is a war. This is a war both in the spirit. This is a war in reality. This is much more dangerous because it's a cyber war. And it's the garbage that they've been feeding into our young ones. I thank you for what you do. I thank you for standing here today. I thank you for marching with us today. It is a privilege to be here today. I want you to know that. But I want you to know that Ottawa was the most beautiful, life-changing event I have ever had the privilege to stand in. To be able to see so many faces, hug so many people. The love was there, the people there, the prayers that were there. What we did was very successful. Although it seemed to some it wasn't, it was very successful because people saw the tyranny that really is here. We have to keep standing up. We have to keep showing people that we are not going away, that we are not a fringe minority, according to Justin Trudeau, but you know what? We rule and we reign, and we are the people, and the people have the power, and God has the power. And make no mistake about it, our country is not going to be communist. Our country is not going to go down. We are free people, we will remain free people, and God Almighty always delivers His people. And our very, very, very national anthem says, God, keep our land glorious and free. This is appropriate weekend to be here. This is Resurrection Weekend, and the dry bones are going to come alive. And the blinders are going to come off people's eyes, and people are going to see it for what it really is. And God help those that don't see the truth, because they're going to need the love, and they're going to need the hugs. We are going to be saved. We are going to be saved. We're an amazing country. We're an amazing bunch of people that truly, you showed your colors, people. You hugged and you loved. And even when people were being trampled on and everything else, everybody stood blind They held the line together. They held each other. They stood together. They loved each other. They helped each other. The homeless were fed. The shelters were fed. The crime rate went down. The streets were clean. I have videos of terrorists in actions shoveling the sidewalks. I have videos of a bunch of terrorists dancing in the street. That's bad. I saw children play like children are supposed to play. I have grandchildren, and I'm going to have great-grandchildren. I want them to know freedom. I don't want them to know the garbage that they're being told now that's acceptable, that's not acceptable. When did things that were wrong become right? And when did right become wrong? That's wrong. We stand for truth. We stand for freedom. We are blessed people, and it is a blessing to serve you all. To be able to pull that truck into this place today is one of the biggest honors that I could ever do, because you all are worth it, and you are loved, and I thank you so much.
Talk about heroes. I just want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart for getting arrested for me. Because I'm chicken shit, man. I run. Unless I'm with like a couple hundred people. Thank you. Like I said, you might be next. Oh my God, how are we feeling today? Happy Easter weekend. It doesn't matter how many times I do this. I'm like Ron Burgundy from Anchorman, and I have to read from a script. One time I congratulated Scotia Math Against the Past for having 15 members because I wrote down 15K. So they're almost at 22,000 members now. Big round of applause for the administrators, Shailene and Elaine. I want to thank you all for your resilience and for coming out time and time again to show your support. I'm very thankful to be here today, and as many of you know, Jeremy and I were political prisoners for a few nights recently. And while there are some people in the community who claim to be freedom fighters who do not support our decisions that landed us in jail, all I have to say is a quote from Thomas Sowell. Freedom is ultimately the right of other people to do things you don't approve of. Martin Luther King Jr. once also said, "We need leaders not in love with money, but in love with justice. Not in love with publicity, but in love with humanity." Not unlike Pastor Arthur Pulowski and many other outspoken politicians, I certainly did not imagine that I would end up behind the very detention doors that I used to sell in the construction industry. I feel that the decisions that we made will benefit the freedom community in the long run, and we will continue to hold those who have abused their power to account. I want to remind everyone about the ongoing judicial review with the Citizens Alliance of Nova Scotia. They go back to court May 20th, and if you would like to donate towards their legal fees, you can do so at thecans.ca. That's thecans.ca. I'm also working with Police on Guard for Thee. If we have any active duty or retired police who would like to sign up to show their commitment to their oath. Many of them have helped us during our rallies. Please, for HRP and RCMP, a round of applause. I know many of them I have spoken to morally struggle to continue with their career path during these times. I also want to thank the sweet young female officer who handcuffed me from the front. It's much more comfortable in the back of the police car, and you're able to scratch your nose. Unlike the arresting officer who refused to identify himself. I have since filed complaints with the Professional Standards Branch, especially given the Gabriel Wortman situation. You never know which cops are real and which aren't, and they do have a policy that requires them to identify themselves to you. You have prisoner rights as well, as it turns out. I will likely be suing the Burnside Correctional Facility as my UN-protected basic human rights were violated in prison. I was not given a collect call phone, a toothbrush, a change of clothes, a shower, clean water, a Bible, a chaplain, or any time out of my cell while I was a political prisoner, and Jeremy went through much of the same. I chalk it up to character building, and I did write the correctional officers a thank you note for the good food and for going out of their way by times while they were seemingly understaffed. I'm also part of a support group who is working hard to get our freedoms, our children's, our friends' children back, who were illegally taken from him by CPS without a judge's order. He had simply asked for help after his common law partner passed away in her sleep. CPS has separated the brothers and have force vaccinated his eldest son despite serving a notice of liability. So we will sue them for that as well. I want to thank, I'm just going to break up my speech here to thank Mr. Crackhead for coming out today. He is super dedicated and we support his freedom of speech as well. Yes, we love you, Crackhead. I have inside details on an underground show to support local artists and performers. Feel free to hit me up after for more information. And lastly, I want to share some information in regards to a non-discriminatory employment service called Jobless Jobs. They will be celebrating their 1-year anniversary in August. They have staffed over 200 people and have given hope to an immeasurable amount of people who have lost their livelihoods due to mandates. If you check out their website at joblessjobs.work, you will find their social media handles. They have a job seeker section as well as an employer section. George and Melissa are great at focusing on one topic, thus their success so far. They chose to stay in one lane, and they're sticking to it. Speaking of which, nothing is stopping any of you from starting up your, say, non-discriminatory apartment or rental websites. Jobless Jobs uses ethical capitalism to fight against a potential communist takeover, and their mission is to connect job seekers with non-discriminatory employers. They've given hope for finding financial security for all people, regardless of their medical health choices. There is also an anonymous section for job postings. Feel free to reach out to me with any questions. And lastly, I want to thank Patty from Atlantic Freedom Fighters for bringing us together today. And thank you all for supporting Jeremy and I, and we hope you have a good rally day. We love you, Nova Scotia. I'm going to hand it over.
Thank you so much, Morgan. I'm sure you know how much we all love you. So this is Nova Scotia's very own Jeremy. For those who don't know him, he's a veteran and he was in Ottawa with us right to the end.
Hello! Just sing on. Morgan stole my thunder there. I really wanted to say hi and thank you very much to Mr. Crackhead for being here. So I'm only the second craziest guy downtown. It's a big help. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. I don't normally write anything down. I just kind of say things and it gets me in a lot of trouble. Hopefully this isn't one of those times. First of all, I want to say thank you to everybody that's come out here, not for my benefit, but for your own. For everyone else in the crowd, because I'm sure, like myself and many of the thousands of other people that I've talked to over the years, have felt an overwhelming sense of isolation and depression amongst the pervasive and all-encompassing gaslighting and propaganda that's been fed into you from your eyes, your ears, your phones, your televisions, your radios, the signs in the streets, everywhere you've gone for the last 2 years.
Yep, amen.
They want to prevent things like this. They want you to stay home and be isolated and depressed, because isolated, depressed people can be beaten and be forced to do things that they don't want to do. So just the act of coming out here to stand with your fellow citizens is a reminder that none of you are alone and that we all have each other. I mean, it's been a long couple of years, and admittedly myself, it's there's been some days, you know, and then obviously, of course, this I don't know what happened. The planets aligned. Somebody got the right kind of fortune cookie. Something happened, and then a lot of people converged on Ottawa in January, the end of January. Nobody really knew what to expect or what was going to happen. There was a lot of talk in the news of all the violence that would take place and the Nazis and so on. But when I got there, and for the duration of the time that I spent there, I saw what I could only describe as the textbook, if there is such a thing, definition of what it means to be a Canadian in this country. There were people from every background, walk of life, calling, profession, age, whatever it is, all stood together, unified in the same idea, the same common purpose and spirit, being that the rulers that we have in this country are completely out of control. Now, as a veteran, I suppose, thank you. For these people that sit behind their desks and collect their massive salaries and give themselves massive raises as they impose more and more taxes onto you, for them to even have the audacity to feel as though they have the authority to restrict and take away things like your freedom of expression, your freedom of movement, of association, of travel, to be and think and say what you want, who you are, and express yourself in who you are. Because I'm sorry to say, that's not up to you. That's not up to these people in their, legislative buildings. There's a price to be paid for those kinds of freedoms. And that price has already been paid over and over again. From the Battle of the Somme, Vimy Ridge, Monte Cassino, the Battle of Kapyong in Korea, across the Middle East, Libya, Syria, and Afghanistan, Kandahar. And a good friend of mine and roommate, Chris Stanix, who was from this town, died for this flag and for these people. So for them to have the audacity to even think that they have some kind of moral authority to tell any one of us how to live their lives is absolutely ridiculous. So I'm going to close this out here in a minute. Patty, the organizer, likes the vets to come up here. The ghost of Wellington. I see he's got a smoke in right now. Come on up, fellas.
Anyone who's a veteran in the crowd, come on up here, please.
So is it Trent? Is it Trent out there? So as I said, that price has already been paid. It continues to be paid. And you're not alone. I'd like to take a minute and let you know about a brand new organization that's just being formed out of the situation in Ottawa. It's called Veterans for Freedom. You can look them up right now. Organized by some of the vets that took part in the demonstrations in Ottawa. Some of them are here. We're going to gather all of these guys from all over the country, and we're going to get together and we're going to make some noise. Thanks, guys, for being here. I appreciate it. Thank all you guys for coming out here. And if I could tell you one thing, the last thing I want you to remember is remember who you all are. What this country was built on, who your fathers, your mothers, your grandfathers and grandmothers and beyond They built, maintained, and defended this country for generations. That's who you are. That's who this country is. And never forget that. Our resolve is infinite. Pro Patria, thank you very much.
We're going to take this opportunity to have a minute of silence for our veterans that stand here now and our veterans that have died for our freedoms, the very thing that we're fighting for yet again. So if you can please bow your heads and take 60 seconds of silence. Jake Spinney is our very own Nova Scotia veteran who protected the monuments of Ottawa right until the end. When they tried so hard to lie and say that we were destroying them, he took it upon himself to make sure that that wouldn't happen.
How's everybody doing? Just to be clear, it wasn't me. I didn't even start doing it, but it was all of us vets. I had guys that worked construction in the downtown Ottawa core come to help me shovel almost every day, right? Every day. So let me pull up my speech here. Okay, so they asked me to give a little speech here about how I got to Ottawa. First, my name's Jake Spinney from Elster, Nova Scotia. I run a homestead, been in the family since 1861. And the story of myself getting to Ottawa starts as a child. My grandfather, Gordon Fielding Spinney, MM, was a private with the West Nova Scotia Regiment. He lost his leg and his eye in the Battle of Ortona. The West Nova Scotia Regiment, in the Battle of Ortona in 11 days, lost 800 soldiers to casualties that's killed and wounded out of 1,150 men on the roll call. 800 casualties out of 1,150 men on the roll call. Those are the sons of farmers, fishermen, and loggers, right? And that's every one of us here. I walk by my grandfather's war medals every day of my life. Every day. I do it to this day. As Jeremy perfectly said, I have the receipts for your freedom, right? Every one of you has a grandfather, a grandmother that paid the price. That war memorial in Ottawa is the receipt for all of our freedoms. And what they did, they put a prison around the greatest monument to freedom that we have. And that was absolutely unacceptable. So as mental Mark Mendocino like to put, it was not protesters tearing down a fence and attacking a war memorial. It was a group of veterans that neatly disassembled and stacked the most disgraceful thing I've ever seen in this country. I'll say the one mistake I made up there was not writing down the conversations that I had standing at that tomb. I met nuclear physicists. I met rednecks from Nova Scotia. I met some lunatics from Newfoundland. I met someone from everywhere, right? From every creed, race, color, ethnicity, origin, background. That was hands down the most Canadian thing that has ever happened. And completely peaceful, regardless what the propaganda scumbags like to have to say. So like most of us here, I was sitting in my basement with my buddies wondering what the hell we were going to do. And I'll tell you, by the time the convoy hit Calgary, there was no way I wasn't going. There was no friggin' way. To the point where I had to clean out the septic system in my house that morning I was supposed to leave because it had flooded, and I still got there. But when I walked up Wellington Street the first time, that was the greatest moment of my life. It was packed, and all you saw was smiling faces and people hugging each other. And no one had seen that in two years, right? So for them to claim that that was anything but peaceful is just exactly what they do, right? And we all know it at this point. So the day the fence went up at 2:30 in the morning, whatever it was, I had brought down a bouquet of flowers for my brother's Master Corporal Rob Campbell, who was murdered in the Windsor area a few years ago, which the RCMP have, let their murderers go in their classic form. And I'd never been so disgusted in my life. And I can't tell you the amount of veterans that I had come up to me and say the exact same thing. The best part of that was the amount of veterans that came up to me and told me how they had felt proud to be a Canadian again, right? That their PTSD was being healed. And on that note, I had a warrant officer that worked at NBHQ tell me that the suicide rate in the military has been double since the lockdowns have started. Double. Just let that sink in. Already we'd lost more soldiers that went to Afghanistan to suicide than we lost in combat. Now it's double. We have 3,000 vets in New Brunswick alone that their doctor has been taking from them because he wouldn't disclose his private medical information. So we have 3,000 veterans in New Brunswick that are suffering PTSD and don't have a doctor. I think we can all remember what happened in Pictou a few years ago, right? So you're going to tell me that bouncy castles, hot tubs, and ball hockey is a state of emergency. I don't know what to say. I really don't. Because I feel like 3,000 unstabilized veterans in a single province is a very serious state of emergency. Look.
You're doing good, bud.
Yeah. To leave off, my experience in Ottawa completely restored my faith in the Canadian people. 100%. You couldn't ask for something. If you spoke the words that you needed something in that city, it was there because of the love and generosity of the Canadian people. If I can leave you with a few words, in the absence of light, darkness prevails.
Thank you, Jake.
So every Ottawa hero deserves what we're about to give to Jake Spinney, but unfortunately our resources are spread quite thin. We had to pick one person. If Trent could also please come up here, we have a gift for you as well.
I can see you, Trent. Come on.
Sorry to make you get up and down and up and down. It's worth it though. We have a plaque for Jake, and I'm going to read it to you. This is the first time he's heard it. Jake Spinney, when so many forgot those that died for our freedom, we saw you rise up. When so many forgot to protect us, we saw you rise up. We saw you unselfishly sacrifice yourself against all odds as you proudly stood tall in the name of the people. You will never be forgotten. Signed, We the People. I'm going to emphasize just one more time how every single one of the heroes in Ottawa deserve this. We just couldn't. We wanted to, though. We have this for you as well. You're welcome. And for Trent, our Class 1 veteran, who stayed in Ottawa in the front lines right to the end, had his windows smashed out of his unlocked vehicle, had to pay the financial cost of that. I think some fines, and possibly some charges. Did you get charged? Yeah, some charges as well. We have this gift for you as well.
Thank you.
Now we have again our very own Nova Scotia, Larry Adams. Now let me tell you about this guy before he gets on the mic. When we were in Ottawa, this man didn't go as a hero except for a hero like any of the rest of us. He joined the convoy to go and fight for our freedoms along with the truckers. But while he was in Ottawa, he rose up and he became a leader and a hero too. He went far above and beyond what many people did. He was the only one who took multiple large convoys across the front lines. And well, me too, but besides me. We did it together. So here's Larry.
Well, thank you very much, Patty, and thank you very, very much all the people that are here today, and the veterans and the freedom fighters that went to Ottawa. I'll just stay on that for a minute. In Ottawa, I volunteered to go up with the convoy because I lived 8 years in Ottawa. I knew my way around Ottawa very well. I slept on Spark Street Mall, the Bywood Market as a teenager, dealing with drug issues, with Dexies and Black Beauties and all that stuff in the 70s. Some of us can relate. I overdosed around 18 years old. I took an overdose, and from that day on, I decided I'd never touch drugs again, marijuana, or any type of drug. And I was able to do that. And then I joined the Navy in 1984 in Ottawa. And just to let you know where I'm from from Spryfield. That's my acres of diamonds right now. I came back home and found the acres of diamonds right under my feet. I didn't have to go anywhere. But I had to go on my journey across the world with the Canadian Navy for 23 years, 7 times in the war zone, and probably 15 NATOs. So going back into Ottawa, we took trucks downtown from the west side to the east side. 55 trucks in all. We blew every stop sign. We did not stop. There was no fines given out that day. Okay? Not to say they didn't catch on. The next day we had to stop at the stop signs. Some people got some rolling stops, cell phone stops. I was asked 3 times to put my cell phone away. Somebody was watching over me. That was $600 and some for each time. But they didn't give it to me. Other people got away with it. Unfortunately, some people took home a fine. Right? I went to Orlando last April, May. Came back, got a $6,255 fine for that. Okay, so what I want to share with you in Ottawa is there were no fights like they said. There was nobody arguing. There was dancing in the streets. There was no trouble at all. But yet, when you get onto the social media, it was blown out of proportion. Okay, but I took maybe 100 runs into Ottawa with even 1 truck, 2 trucks, 3 trucks. The largest was 55. Then we drove around exit 88, which is one of the compounds, and we had a convoy go through Castleman, St. Albert. Come on, guys, what's the name of the other towns? Help me out here, Travis, you were there. And we stopped somewhere, and somebody noticed I had a flat tire on the back of the trailer. This is the Freedom trailer here. And I had a flat tire, and somebody came out of the crowd with a 4-way wheel wrench, and he changed that tire in seconds. All he had with him was a 4x4 that I would never have thought of that. And he changed the tire. That night, we would go back to the exit 88. He took me to his trailer park about 15, 20 minutes down the road, and he changed my tire and gave me a new tire. No charge. That's just one of the hearts that was looking out for every trucker that was there. Right? His name was Michelle. All right? The other people downtown, the truckers, Travis for one, he sat down on Sussex and Rideau for 3.5 weeks. He called me up. Are you still here, Travis? Where are you? There he is. So Travis phones me and he needs some medication. He's down there. He's not moving his truck. He's living in the truck for 3.5 weeks. He called me and he said, Larry, I'm not feeling well. So we go off and we get him a bunch of medications. We thought he was fine. We asked other people to look out for him. And he's here today. What he was suffering from was carbon monoxide poisoning. He was in the truck for 3.5 weeks, thinking he was being sick from a cold and a flu. And here he is today, and give a big hand to that hero, because he would not leave. He would not leave. And then there's Sam. Sam's here. He's driving this white vehicle here. You can't even, there he is over here, Sam. You can't even extend what he done. He was there for every truck that broke down. He was there to replace parts. The horns on my truck, we wore them out in about 2 days. This is a new set of horns, eh? And Sam was right there. For any truck that needed help, he went out and got them that help. Now, I recognize the trucks. I don't recognize the people in them. But it was unreal to see how people from all over Canada could come together and be a brother and sister. Okay? So I thank them all for doing that, and it was my privilege to go up there with them. And the other thing that I had the privilege of doing, when all the convoy went under the bridges, all the way up through Quebec and New Brunswick and Ontario, my wife and I was the last vehicle. We took the time to go up onto those bridges. By the time I got to Ottawa, our sleeping quarter, that trailer where my wife and I was going to sleep, was filled with all the things that the people were giving to the truckers. And it all froze in there. By the time I got there, we had no place to sleep. All right? So two families, one in Ottawa and one outside of Ottawa, around Castlemilk or Innsbruck or something, they adopted my wife and I to come there every night for a shower and have a good night's sleep. And that was after a 12, 13-hour day. Patty knows. She's sleeping in her vehicle. My wife and I did 5 nights sleeping in the cab of the truck. Right? The truck was running steadily 24 hours, while we were up there. So then we come back here, and I want to talk about what's happening. Not what happened. I want to tell you what's happening. Take you to the future, to 2030, 2050. We got to protect our children. They're coming after them. And each time, if we don't protect our children, we keep them out of school, don't send them to school and see if they take off the mask. It's your responsibility to leave them home. Because they can take the mask off in school, but they're still being conditioned in those schools by the people and the teachers. We're letting the teachers and the political parties teach our children what's coming, and it's not fair. Because my grandchildren are going to bring up their children in that same type of community. And these communities are going to be run by, us. But somebody's going to rule over us. Right? This is what we got to keep our eyes open to, the future. Don't look back. Look to what they said they were going to do by 2050. Did anybody hear this stuff? Has anybody heard it? Okay, so we have to start there at 2050 and work our way back because they already know what the end game is. And we have to stop it. Every day, let the people that are wearing masks again today, 65, 70% of them, they're going to just walk off the cliff anyway. All right? They're going to do that all by themselves. They don't need no help. Each time we get those needles, and they get those needles, they take more and more from our pineal gland. You understand? They're taking away from your thoughts, your memory, your love, your expressions. They're taking that away from you. And then eventually our children won't even know that ever existed in 30, 40 years. They're going to think it's normal, yes? It's not normal. All right? So I want to wake you up. I know we're all awake, but I want you to see in 2050, in 2030, there's going to be no cars with gas. 2030, that's 8 years from now. 2026, the deal that the systems and the world banks and the insurance companies had for hundreds of years is coming to an end. There may not be any veterans pension for me, or Canada pension, or old age pension, because if this stops, we have no jobs, we have no pensions. All right, did I count on my pensions? No. I came back here, I found my acres of diamonds in Spryfield. I bought some real estate. I don't need the real estate. I don't. If they take away my pensions, I'm thankful and grateful that I may have some income coming in. But those people that are living in those apartments, they're not going to have the money to pay it. So I'm looking into the future to see what could and maybe happen to me. All right? We have to have a plan for ourselves. We can all be free together, but only one person's going to get you to freedom. That's you. As individuals, you're the only ones that can help you. All right? Have you noticed that your line of friends online that you text to all the time? Mine started off at about 1,000 when this all started. I think I got maybe 5 to 10 people now that they're just all giving up. Right? This guy over here, this guy, no, he's a person. He needs the love from us. He doesn't need to be pointed out. I'll point him out. I don't like what he's saying, but I love him. I love every one of you. You may not love, you all have to love me. You may not like me. And I'm coming to the end here now, okay? Because I want to tell you this. I'm taking a knee up here right now. And I want everybody to join me. For what this reason and this weekend is about. Yesterday, Good Friday, Jesus walked obediently to his death. For who? everyone on this planet. All right? There was no Easter bunny, no pieces of chocolate or chocolate owls. It was Jesus Christ who walked obediently. Amen? Amen? Today, Saturday, he sleeps, he rests today on the Saturday to prepare for tomorrow. Okay? Jesus, right? Jesus. Because of him, heaven knows my name. Because of him. All right? I've been told, and Patty, God love her, she didn't know what I was going to say. This is the reason I come up here was for this. All right? Because nobody wants me to talk on their platform about Jesus Christ the Savior. I do. Thank you. Because if we're here and we're not taking the red pill for the blood of Jesus Christ, then you're taking the blue pill. And that blue pill is for the political side of this world. That's for all of the people trying to take you down. Okay? So we're going to take this down on one knee, and everybody can join me if you like. All right? Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. The last part of that, if a lot of you noticed, for thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Do you notice that a lot of places they take that off? Do you know why they take that off? For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory is you. It's me, it's us. We are the power, we are the glory. And if we lose that, we lose it all. Praise Jesus Christ. Amen. And his Father God. Thank you.
So, I just want to touch on religion real quick. I'm not going to talk about God. Some people in this movement, they say there's no room for religion. And some people in this movement say there's no room for people who don't have religion in their lives. And you're both wrong. This is about freedom. It's about freedom of religion, freedom to our bodies. This is about our Charter of Rights and our human rights. And all of us, no matter where you're from or what you are, which is what we're standing for, unity, freedom is for all of us. We need to always respect each other, respect people that don't have religion, and respect people that do have religion in their lives. Make no mistake about it. I am Christian. I'm a diehard Christian who makes a lot of mistakes. But I do not believe for 1 second that the people who don't have religion in their lives are not going to heaven. I just want to put that out there. So this is Sam Field, you guys. This is the mechanic of the trucks in Ottawa. He's got something to say.
Well, first off, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for coming out, taking time out of your schedule for this. This is very important to a lot of us. Couple points that I need to make here. First of all, the strength that each one of you has given us to be there, the security blanket that the people were for the drivers, the people on the streets of Ottawa. The weekends would come around and the morale would just be the most blessed thing in the world. And during the week it would get cold and you would see these great local people come out and just offer their hearts and their homes, their finances, whatever they could offer to keep us strong, to do what we did. The most important thing that I witnessed out there was the professionalism of Canada. I was there as a technician. I left my shop, my farm, and my family to make sure that everybody that went out of their way as a warrior to fight for Canada and the freedoms that we deserve was able to come home. And come home in as good a shape as they left, if not better. I was blessed to have a group of other technicians join me. I was there at the beginning, as a lot of them were, and they came out of the woodworks, no questions asked, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. The local transportation community, the dealerships, the network that I was able to build in such a short period to make sure that I could do what I could do for the people that deserved it went out flawlessly. And that was what I just have to say. And you know, I've been running on something that I hope everybody can take with you. This is my heart and these are my boots. There's nobody else in control of those, and I feel everybody's in the same situation. So stand strong, stand tall. You guys are all worth it, and your families are definitely worth fighting for. And there's a lot of confusion out there. Together we can continue to be calm, be patient, collective professionalism, folks. This is what will get us to the finish line. Every first responder, every officer of the peace out here, are all of our veterans. We know what it takes to finish the game. And anyways, I love you all. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
We have one more speaker. We're going to have a barbecue, and we're going to mingle, and I implore you to stay. Dance to the music, talk to each other, meet people that you haven't met yet. Go around and see if there's somebody by themselves in the protest today, and make sure that they don't go home alone, and that they've met people and they've gotten phone numbers and that they've made friends, because none of us are in this alone, and we got to make sure that nobody is left alone. Michelle Lindsey.
Wow, what a great day. What a great day for freedom. I was in Ottawa and it was amazing. It was like Canada Day on steroids. I have to say it was like one of the best experiences of my life and being a Canadian. So I must congratulate you for your tireless energy to fight for what is right in our country. I am Michelle Lindsey and I am the People's Party candidate of record for Dartmouth Coal Harbour. And I will run again with your support in the next election. To be your voice in the House of Commons with sound principles, sound policies, and common sense. On this happy Easter weekend, we mark the return of spring and the 40th anniversary of the Charter of Rights and Freedoms. Does it feel like springtime for freedom? Well, it is a little chilly, but it's springtime, and we're fighting for our freedoms. Like a reawakening from the long sleep of cold winter and the oppression of Trudeau's tyranny. For the chance to gather together for this day of celebration, in person and communally, we thank and honor the truck drivers of Canada. Those freedom fighters, those heroes, those noble men and women who stood strong in the face of tyranny and prevailed. That's right. Some may quail at the charge of tyranny, but when Tamara Lich sat weeks as a political prisoner of the Liberal government, we feel this accusation is justified. When the last living signatory of the Charter of Rights and Freedoms, Brian Peckford, feels compelled to sue the Liberal government to preserve our charter rights, we know something is rotten in Ottawa. When the cowardly Justin Trudeau, our shameful Prime Minister, flees in fear from bouncy castles, barbecues, and peaceful protesters, the very people who were heroes for the previous 22 months, we know something is very rotten in Ottawa. Need I remind you that our cowardly Prime Minister corruptly covered up his SNC Lavalin ethics breaking cronies, resulting in the first female Indigenous Justice Minister to resign in protest. Too bad she couldn't resign twice. Surely she would have done so again with the invocation of the Emergencies Measure Act over peaceful, loving, demonstrating citizens. A complete act of tyranny and dictatorship. When the truth is hidden by social media censorship and the Trusted News Initiative, when that legacy media accepts cash and bribes from the Liberal government and trumpets the Liberal talking points, when the Prime Minister calls a portion of Canadians the fringe minority, or Nazis, or those people, which again the Trusted News Initiative echoes like a chorus. We know, you know, something is definitely rotten and is still rotting in Ottawa. Canada's truckers took the lead. The Freedom Convoy struck fear in the hearts of the smug elite bullies, and they did back down. We saw provincial mandates toppled like dominoes, coast to coast, proving that tyranny cannot stand, will not be tolerated when brave people stand up for their rights together. I am standing here. You are all standing here because Canada needs a new type of governance. Canada needs a government committed to respect, one respectful of our Constitution, our charters, our citizens. A government committed to fairness, a government committed to responsibility and accountability. Accountable for its actions, for its outcomes, and to Canadians. And a government, especially a government committed to freedom. Because without freedom, there is no dignity. And without freedom, we cannot be that shining light and beacon to the world. Join us in demanding good government. Something is rotten in Ottawa. We can do better. Those heroes deserve better. Canada deserves better. We are freedom fighters. I am with the People's Party of Canada. We are the true North, strong and free. Thank you.